All right, later today, Finance Minister Malusi Gigaba will deliver his first midterm budget in Parliament. Standing by now in Cape Town is our SABC journalist, Devan Murugan. Devan, good morning to you and thank you so much indeed for joining us. This is Minister Gigaba's very first midterm budget. What can we expect later today?
All right, thanks very much indeed, Palesa. Well, indeed, it is Malusi Gigaba's inaugural budget. Many say it is a watershed moment for the recently promoted Finance Minister. And we are at Parliament. It's quite miserable indeed. And if I have to use that cliche by drawing an analogy between the weather, the clouds above, and the confidence in the economy at the moment, I must tell you there's just a startling resemblance. It's dull, it's gloomy, and so is confidence in the economy at the moment. That's what makes Malusi Gigaba's delivery of his midterm budget so significant this afternoon. He's got to really have a big task ahead of him. He's got to describe and actually explain how the economy will unravel in rather challenging circumstances. He's got to do this, mind you, against the backdrop of a rather solid track record of his predecessors. So two broad tasks for the new Finance Minister. One, Malusi Gigaba has got to do some perception management. We know that there are accusations of state capture, there's corruption. Malusi Gigaba, according to the analysts and many of the stakeholders in the economy, he's got to come out rather unambiguous on his stand against state capture and corruption. And then again, it's the issue of the nuts and bolts of the economy. We are down to at least 0.5% of growth in the economy at the moment. Needless to say, that is nowhere near what we need to create jobs and to get economic activity running. So it's those two big tasks overall. He's got to just manage the perception and secure credibility this afternoon, and at the same time give the assurance that we are on a correct fiscal path. And I got to remind you that this budget is very different from the February budget, which is basically an allocation budget. In February, we see the announcement of tax rates in February. Not so this time around. This budget is basically directed towards keeping us on that correct fiscal path. Many will be watching Malusi Gigaba this afternoon to see if he has indeed got that right. Let's take a look at the significance of Malusi Gigaba at the realm of this budget. It will be a watershed moment for Malusi Gigaba as he presents his first budget. Apart from delivering a prudent plan to keep us on the envisaged fiscal path, the minister will have his work cut out for him to convey credibility. The residue of the abrupt cabinet reshuffle which saw him installed as finance minister in March, and continuing accusations of his alleged involvement in state capture still linger. Economist Azar Jamin says he has to be unambiguous on corruption and state capture on Wednesday and will have to wait before he is afforded full trust.
A much longer time needs to pass with him as finance minister. He needs to come across with many more budgets before people will start building true confidence and trust in him.
Since the February budget, economic prospects have dimmed. Our growth is likely to hover around a dismal 0.5% this year from a forecast of more than 1% earlier this year. A revenue shortfall of anything between 30 and 50 billion rand below the tax collection target is expected. And that shortfall might see our budget deficit, the difference between our collection of revenue and spending, rise from 3.5% to 4%. But it's the increasing threat that the ailing state-owned enterprises and related bailouts are having on our fiscus that will take centre stage.
It's all very well for him to state commitments to improving the financial position of state-owned enterprises, but there will remain suspicions that that will not be possible given the inability to rectify the management of these enterprises. And yet again, analysts are likely to wait to see what happens rather than drawing conclusions on the basis of his MTBPS.
Analysts believe while ratings agencies will be watching the midterm budget closely, they will pay more attention to the ANC elective conference in December and the February budget. 2 of the 3 major ratings agencies dropped our foreign debt to sub-investment grade earlier this year, with weak growth and ailing state-owned enterprises among their concerns.